Hi, and welcome to Game Changer Chat. I'm your host, Zakiya. This evening, we'll be talking about women creating paths via entrepreneurship. And we have with us three wonderful, dynamic women who function, whose backgrounds are in HR. And we're going to start with, let's see, we have Dana, Veronica, and Kia. They're going to tell us about their why they decided to get into entrepreneurship, their background. And so we're going to start with Dana. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and why you started your journey in entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Dana Niger, co-founder of Hive Talent Acquisition Firm. Born and raised in Los Angeles, California, moved to Atlanta, Georgia in 1998. If that dates me, I don't apologize. Graduated from Agnes Scott College, private women's college in Decatur, Georgia, and fell right into human resources and recruiting. It's literally all I've done my entire career.
Thank you. And Veronica, please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got it into HR.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is Veronica Jenkins. I am also co-founder of Hive Talent Acquisition Firm in Atlanta, Georgia. And I fell into HR because I had a friend who needed my assistance with some entry-level HR work. And the next thing you know, I fell in love with the concept of helping people because human resources is all about the people. And I've always wanted to be the type of person to help other people get ahead in life. And I feel strongly that this is my calling. And so Dana and I came together to create a company that actually focuses on the people aspect of human resources.
Okay, thank you. And welcome back, Kia, to Game Changer Chat. You've been with us twice before, actually last fall for the book launch, The Humans Behind the Resources, and again for Game Changer Chat when we had Entrepreneur Day. So please tell us again, for those who didn't watch, a little bit about your background and your why you decided to get into entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. Thank you, Zakiya. It's always a pleasure to join you and be a part of the conversation. So for me, very similarly to Dana and Veronica, I also fell into HR. I wasn't growing up thinking, oh, I want to be an HR person or recruiter. But after college, an opportunity presented itself to me, and I started at a deco in a staffing firm. And there's where I realized I had the love of making matches between people, connecting employers who had a need with the perfect person. And that feeling of making that match, it was so amazing that I knew once I got into that environment, I was hooked on the HR. I wanted to support talented people and employers who want them. When we're talking about what led me to entrepreneurship, in 2018, I had been with Lockheed Martin for several years, worked with wonderful people, enjoyed the work that I was doing in diversity and inclusion, but there was something inside of me that kept saying, you know what, it's time to do more. Right? Use your gifts differently. And so I stepped away. I started to pursue coaching and I started my own company. Half of it is working with individuals to help them become better versions of themselves. And then the other half of my time is spent working with organizations to help them become more inclusive.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. I would just like everyone just to put in the chat right now where you're tuning in from. I myself, I'm in Northern Virginia, and I just wanted to point out that LinkedIn is a very powerful platform. I met Dana on LinkedIn. I commented on a post, and I think then we start seeing that had a lot in common. We were commenting on each other's posts, and then we started a conversation. I met Kia through a mutual connection at her prior company, LinkedIn, Lockheed Martin, and then we had a conversation, we met, and we started talking from there. And I met Veronica through Dana. So LinkedIn has a power potential to meet dynamic people, form relationships, transactions can be made. So you never know what the future holds for meeting people on LinkedIn. So if you don't mind, just put where you're chatting from and also put what is your passion. For example, you can say you're a speaker, but what are you passionate about speaking in? If you're an accountant, or you're a forensic accountant, What is it that you like to do in your career field? That will help a lot. Thank you. So now we're talking about that you all three have something in common, talent acquisition. Right now, the unemployment rate has fell to about 10.2%,
Mm.
and that's an astonishing number. There are a lot of people unemployed. What are some tips that you may provide for people who right now are trying to find jobs? What can make them stand out from the crowd? And this is open for any analyst.
I'll start. I would say one of the most important things
Okay.
to keep in mind when you are in the job hunt is making sure that you tailor your resume to that job description. From your perspective, your resume and your background and your career, you may know what you've done in the past, what you're capable of. But if that resume is too general and literally doesn't have the phraseology within that job description within it, the likelihood of you having the opportunity for that interview to even come up, right? Not even the job, but the opportunity to interview becomes less and less likely. So definitely keeping that in mind is going to be key.
And I'll
Thank you.
oh,
And Dana, Dr. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to piggyback off of Dana's comment and mention that since we're speaking about LinkedIn, right, that it's very important for you to have a LinkedIn profile that aligns with that resume that you are putting out there to use to apply for jobs. Make sure that you are putting your best virtual foot forward with a professional headshot, with the information on your profile that literally matches what's on your resume. Because I will tell you, a lot of recruiters see that LinkedIn profile before they see your resume, and it is vital to your success as a candidate.
Those are really
excellent
great
tip, because absolutely, because they're going to look up there and research you and see what if it matches. Go ahead, Kia.
Now, I was just going to share, I think those were absolutely great tips. And what came to mind when you asked me that question was also how important it is, even if you are an employee right now at a company, the environment is changing so rapidly, and companies are having to make cuts across the board. And so, you could be there for 5, 10, 15 years, whatever the case may be. Don't get too comfortable. Always be ready. Like Dana and Veronica said, have your resume, make sure your LinkedIn profile is up to date and it's consistent and aligned with your resume. But be ready, because we don't know what tomorrow can bring.
Yes. Always be ready so you don't have to get ready.
Yes.
Isn't that what they say? And
Right.
It's so true.
Well said.
Thank you. Dr. Allen, who's known for his research on the effects of racism in the Black community, defines microaggressions as death by 1,000 ticks. How have your experiences with microaggressions confirmed or denied this, Dana?
Sure. Excellent question. And I think it has to be said, microaggressions cut so deeply because of their passive aggressive nature. It doesn't matter that it might be indirect, subtle, or even unintentional. That hurts more than anything, actually. And the problem with those microaggressions, again, is the fact that they are subtle or unintentional. So Veronica and I have actually seen these a lot in business together. To be perfectly frank, as a white female, no, I have not really truly come across microaggression alone myself. But when Veronica and I went into business several years ago, they were rampant, and we struggled to figure out what was right between the two of us. When you're in a startup situation and you need to make money to be successful, do you say no to that business? Well, we have come to the conclusion that yes, you do. You absolutely say no, thank you to that business, because we would rather go under and stand for something than take business that really wasn't, something that they wanted to give us, or I should say Veronica anyway.
Excellent. Does Veronica, Kia, would you like to chime in on that question?
So Wow, regarding microaggressions, it's interesting that they're called micro because they are anything but micro in terms of impact. And so in diversity and inclusion, we always have a lot of conversation about intent versus impact. So we can have great intentions,
Yes.
but if we are not checking our biases, right, they are absolutely going to have a negative impact on those that we interact with. And so for me, you know, if you have a brain, and I say this all, if you have a brain, you have bias. And so that means if you want to show up and be an inclusive person, a good person, a person who instills a sense of belonging in those that you are with, you need to move with intention. And you need to, check yourself, check your biases, have conversations with people who are going to give you feedback about things that you say, how you behave. Because again, this stuff is human nature. We don't even know we're doing these things sometimes, but when I come in the room and I say, "Hey, Dana's my finance person. She's awesome. She's wonderful." And then I have Veronica with me, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, and this is Veronica." There's a huge difference in how that presents, and we've just got to be so careful because these microaggressions, like Dana said, death by a thousand cuts, and it really does a number or can do a number on people's self-esteem, their productivity, morale, everything. So great question. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes. Veronica?
So, and to piggyback off what both Kia and Dana have mentioned, I've been in several situations personally where, it's been the conversation when my hair is curly and not like it is today. Wow, your hair is so large. Are you wearing your hair like that to interact with a client? Or your hair is very ethnic today. You wearing it like that to the meeting? Or, oh, I didn't expect you to address the entire room in such an articulate manner. All of those things, as well meaning as a person who presented them might have wanted to come across, microaggression, like he is aggression. And it is on the person that's receiving it to make the decision, unfortunately, if they are, one, going to ignore it, two, if they're going to address it, or three, if they're going to hold on to it and address it later. And then at what point you as the person that's on the receiving end of the comment going to be acting in a passive aggressive nature towards this person going forward, because you have all of your feelings and emotions that go along with how you reacting internally to what's being said to you. So it is really important that everyone, whether you're in a corporate environment or not, take the time to really check what your biases are and make sure that you are bringing yourself to the table willing and ready to listen, learn, and grow as a person.
All very nice. And I can tell you that I have been on the receiving end as well. And there's been times when I was in corporate America that I did not check by the comments. Why? Because I was unsure how it would affect my upward mobility. And as far as the hair, I did not start wearing my hair natural until I left and became an entrepreneur. I'm going to hop and see who's joining us. Miss Gibson from Pittsburgh, Miss Wilson from Fredericksburg. Hey, John, my friend John Frazier. How you doing? Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you tuning in. Um, um, Also, we have my girl Roslyn Aker Black, Mary, Alyssa from Baltimore, Alyssa. A lot of people are tuning in, um, and we appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions, please don't feel free to jump right in and ask. Um, so, Veronica, on an average, Black women in the U.S., we're going to talk about the gap in pay for a second. Black women in the U.S. are paid 39% less than their white counterparts. And that's 25% less than the white women. What are some ways in which you have set out, you think that we can set out to combat this inequality in pay? And can you also talk about when you were working, how you negotiated salaries? Because it's been said that, you know, men negotiate their salary more than women. And can you give some tips on how women can do that, or what did you do and how do you do that now as an entrepreneur?
Absolutely. Thank you. That's a great question. And I will speak to it from both sides of the coin, right? First, as an entrepreneur,
Mm-hmm.
I love to educate my team on this very subject because we are, like I mentioned, a woman owned business, right? So we do find ourselves in several situations where we are submitting a proposal for review by a potential client, and we do go into it sometimes with a sense of trepidation of being concerned that we may be charging too much for our work. But here's the thing about that, and this is something that I teach my team all the time, and I say it to them, kind of half joking and not really at the same time. If a client can't afford to take you to the Plaza Hotel or to the Ritz Carlton for brunch, they can't afford to pay your invoice. Okay, there's no sense in downplaying your skill set and your amount that you're putting on an invoice for your very valuable and very necessary work that you're contributing to them to help them go forward with their human resources vision or whatever it is that we're supporting them with as a client. So from the entrepreneurship side, I'm beginning to be more confident in both my speech as it relates to payments and in discussing those things and what we're worth as a company and a team. And then when I was working in corporate America, the conversations that I would have around pay would be very, very focused on what my contributions were. I'm the type of person that likes to stick to the facts. So I would come into the conversation with a list of facts and evidence about what it is that I'm bringing to the team as a value add, whether that's my bilingual capabilities, whether that's my ability to fill a position in a certain amount of time, whether that's my ability to bill at a higher rate because I have a higher success rate and my candidates don't attract out of their positions like some other people's might, whatever those things are, whatever my value add is to the team, I list those things out and I come to the table ready to discuss and potentially defend why I'm asking for this increase in pay, because I know my own self-worth and I know that I'm worth more than what I may be being paid at the time. And as it relates to the pay gap between Black women and white women, it really is on us as a group, as Black women, to own our voice. Confident speech. It is something that both Dana and I work diligently day in and day out to train our team to be confident in how they speak. Speak authoritatively. Own what you are saying. Don't go in with a shy disposition or a sheepish disposition. Oh, I don't know how they're going to take it. It's not about how someone is going to take it. Stick to the facts and understand that you are worth what you're asking for.
Woo. Own your power, own your voice. I love it. Speak with authoritative voice. Wonderful. Thank you for that. Kia, workplace discrimination is technically illegal. It is illegal to discriminate, but it's still very rampant in our workforce. Can you please tell us about your work experience, and have you ever experienced discrimination in the workplace? If so, did you report it?
Whew. So that's loaded, right? You don't hit us with the easy questions here. So first,
Sorry.
let me start with, our workplaces are nothing more than a microcosm of our world. And our world is still struggling to solve the issue of racism. Okay, so we're all a work in progress, and it's a journey for all of us. And so that's the first thing that we should all remember. The second thing, though, is you're right? Discrimination, it's illegal. People know they shouldn't do it. The issue is, right, we all have these different perspectives and ideas of what discrimination looks like and what bias looks like. Now, for me, what comes to mind is a time when many, many years ago, but I had a leader a fairly new leader who had come into the team. I was on a team of 4 people who reported to him. Over time, I'd say over about 3 to 4 weeks during our weekly team meetings, I noticed that he called everyone else on the team by name, and I was the only person of color. I was the only Black person on the team. He called everyone else by name, but when it was time to hear from me, he said, "Oh, let's hear from diversity." So the first time that happened, I said, "Okay, all right." I'm assuming positive intent, which is something else that I'm a big believer in. Happened the second time. It happened the third time, and the third time, I said, "You know what? I'm going to have a conversation with him." You can call it courageous conversation, giving upward feedback, whatever the case may be. And see, not only had I noticed it at this point, but one of my colleagues had come to me and said, "Oh, guess we're going to have to call you Diversity Silver Hodge, won't we?" "Oh, no, we won't." But, I went, I talked to my leader, and let me tell you how I positioned it, because anybody else out there who's listening, who might be having a challenge with your leader or even a colleague, this is what I did. I went in and I said, "Hey, you may not realize that this is happening, but during the last few team meetings, I've noticed that when it's time for our roundtable, our team to contribute, you call everyone by name except me. When it comes to me, you say, 'Let's hear from diversity.' Oh, what does diversity have to say?" As if my name is diversity. In fact, not only did I notice this, but another colleague noticed it as well and joked that my name should be Diversity Silver Hodge. And I said, "I just wanted to let you know that as you've done that, it's made me feel like I am down here and they are up here. And I just wanted you to know." And then I sat back and was quiet. And he was quiet for about a minute, but then he apologized and said, "You know what? I had no idea." And I said, "I know you didn't, but I needed to let you know." And so what I did in the and we got along better after that, after I got that out into the air and I made him aware of what he was doing and the impact it had on me. But I did not go in there in a way that was accusatory or triggered his defensiveness. I assumed the best, right? And I used tentative language. I'm sure you don't know this is happening, but this is how it's making me feel. I use the facts, okay? And that's what we want to do. Assume positive intent, use the facts and stick to, again, the facts and how it made you feel. And he listened. And so I'm so glad. What that showed me was that you can have the difficult conversations, but also be prepared and go in remembering you're both human. Everybody's going to make mistakes, but I'm now at a point where I'm going to let you know when your mistakes are having an impact on me or others around me. But it's a growth journey to get there.
Wow, Kia, that was an excellent example of how you brought it to his attention and how the supervisor was amenable to your feedback and it corrected itself. Thank you for presenting that to all of us, because it was helpful to me and I'm pretty sure it was helpful to a lot of our viewers.
I hope so.
Right now, we're dealing with, of course, Black Lives Matter, a lot of racial unjust. We continue to see it playing on TV, unfortunately, and in our organizations. Racism is not new in America. It's a reality that has existed and it's ingrained in our organization for a very long time. Dana, how do you respond to allyship and your role?
It's a great question. Thank you so much. Allyship, in my personal opinion, is holding yourself and others accountable. And one of the most important things to understand there, perfect segue into this question with what all the ladies have been talking about here, to be frank, what makes people, white people, uncomfortable is not knowing, not understanding. That causes the human nature to go on the defensive. The way that Kia so eloquently approached her boss, was eye-opening, I'm sure, not only for him, but also a wonderful moment for her. She made a choice there to treat someone else as a human, but also who wasn't necessarily treating her as such, I might add, but made that choice as a professional woman. And also, I might add, made that choice because, as she so eloquently said, it's ones and zeros at this point. It is not of an emotional background, even though it does definitely feel that way and can become very emotional. And so that is what allyship needs to be to everyone these days. My husband and I have lost a lot of friends. We don't have very many left, to be quite honest. And that is because we are doing our part as allies. We are not just talking or providing lip service. We are, in fact, calling out our friends who may or may not be friends of ours still, and expressing when they microaggress or when they say things that bother us. We let them know that's not appropriate, or we ask a question just to make sure we understand what exactly do you mean by that. Mm-hmm. And in turn, perhaps making someone else feel slightly uncomfortable, though they felt super comfortable to say it out loud amongst their friends, is part of allyship. This is the part that white people have to become comfortable with. I myself have taken my seat in class, and I encourage others to do so. Open your ears, listen. Don't just hear, listen to what is going on in this world. Have a conversation, have a dialogue. Don't get defensive, ask questions. Mm-hmm. This is how we're going to fix this problem.
Wow. That was so powerful, Dana. And you know, one thing that I heard and really honed in on when you were talking about and really thought about was just how courageous that is of you all to say, you know what, I'm going to stand firm and I'm going to call folks out. And so not only do our white brothers and sisters need to do that, but all of us really need to step up and commit to it, because I'm going to be honest, I shared a situation with you where someone did something to me and I let them know. But in full transparency, how many other stories do I have that I could pull from where I just took it and it just built up in that bank of, you know, baggage that we all carry around? So that was a very powerful story. Very, very powerful story.
Thank you, Kia.
Yes, and I like to say, you know, as Dana's business partner, you know, we work together to make sure that we're setting the right example for our team, but also we work together to make sure we're setting the right example for our clients. Mm-hmm. We want to make sure that our clients understand that allyship does not end at the door of your business. You have to learn how to be an ally in all aspects of your life, not just your personal life, your professional life, in your community, going to the grocery store. You know, if you see someone doing wrong by another person, I don't care what religion they are. I don't care what ethnicity they are. I don't care where they're from. You have to be comfortable enough as a person to understand we're all human, and you need to speak up and stand in a space for that person. Hold space for that person.
Absolutely.
Whatever that looks like, hold space for them. If that means that you need to pull up next to that person and you see them being mistreated in front of a grocery store, pull up and just roll the window down and just sit there.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you that person is going to remember. They may not even know your name, but they will remember the fact that you've held space for them. And that is allyship. Yeah. It is silent. You don't have to make a grandiose gesture to be an ally. An ally is a person that is comfortable enough to do the hard and very necessary work to continue to propel the movement of equality for everyone forward. Right now, we're focused on Black Lives Matter, so I will say someone that's comfortable enough to move the Black movement forward, and whatever that looks like for them. Okay, but keep in mind that we don't want to be in a position to sit in authority and judge someone and say, oh, I don't like your type of ally. You're not allying enough for me. Just know that someone who is an ally is doing the best they can as an ally. And they will continue to do the work within themselves and within their local community to propel that forward, whatever that looks like for them.
And wow. You know, when you were just talking through that, when I heard you say, you know, well, what I thought of was like, you just don't take off your ally hat when you leave work. If
No.
you truly, right? If you're truly embracing what it means to be an ally and you're believing in all that that means and you're fighting for equality, this is something that you're going to model in every aspect of your life. And it's a journey. We're all working on it, right? And the other thing is you have to be authentic about it. You have to be authentic about it, right? So when you have a passion around something, it might be the authentic you, Veronica. You might be out there marching right now. I might say, you know what? I have another role to play. I'm going to donate. I'm going to use my voice in a different way. So I think we also have to support each other in whatever way we show up to move the work forward and just say it's okay. But I love that you're doing whatever it is you're doing in your lane as an ally. And